Hey, it's Dave Wyman from Wyman and Bob. It's time for Football 101, one of my favorite times of the year. I love the Final Four. I love the college tournament in basketball, March Madness, all that. Love the Super Bowl, the playoffs in the NFL. I love the NFL draft. It's where you see guys like Russell Wilson get drafted in the third round and become the best quarterback in Seahawk history. So let's look at what the Seahawks have, and we're going to take a look today at a cornerback, a corner named Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. 6'1", 190 pounds, runs about a 4.4 40. He's not the highest rated corner coming out of Georgia. There's a guy named Eric Stokes that may go before him. There's a lot of people that think the Seahawks may stay at the number 56 pick and draft him in the second round because they, can always use corners. So here's what the Seahawks have. Number 56, number 129, number 250. That's it. And it's second round, fourth round, seventh round. Just to give some perspective, since Pete Carroll and John Schneider have been here, these are the corners that they've drafted. And if they did pick Tyson Campbell at the number 56 pick in the second round, it'd be the highest drafted corner by far. And the Seahawks have had some good corners here. 2017, the highest so far, Shaq Griffin, number 90 in the third round. Trey Flowers, Richard Sherman, maybe the best get of all time. May kind of put John Schneider on the map. And that was 2011. Number 154, he's a fifth rounder. And then Byron Maxwell, just to name a few. There are some other ones, but nobody higher than Shaq Griffin as far as a pure corner goes. I want to talk about being a scout and what that means. And, there's different levels. There's guys like me. I'm a radio host. I go and I look at film and I look at highlight films and see what I like and what I don't like. The next level, and there's just guys that do it for fun. It's just kind of a hobby. The next level of guys are these draft gurus. Okay, we had them on our show this week. Matt Miller from ESPN, Ryan Wilson from CBS, Eric Edholm from Yahoo, all fantastic guests. Just put a ton of work in. They're looking at lots and lots of film on players, gathering information. Then there's the next level, okay? John Schneider, Trent Kirchner, Scott Fitterer, and Scott Fitterer is now the GM for the Carolina Panthers. Getting to know these guys pretty well, these top three guys over the years, and spending a lot of time with them. I know how much time they put in. It makes this look like nothing. And these guys put a ton of work in, but the amount of work, Matt Berry, Aaron Heinlein, Nolan Teasdale, just to mention a few guys that are on the staff for the Seahawks. And by the way, Scott Fitterer got a job as a GM. Trent Kirchner is in line for a job as a GM. So John Schneider's run a really good group as far as their personnel department goes. But tell you a quick story. In 2005, I got an opportunity to interview with the New Orleans Saints as a regional scout. I was going to be a West Coast scout, I think it was. And the reason why I got that is I wrote some letters. I wanted to go into scouting and be in management with the NFL. And so the guy in New Orleans, who is the GM, is named Mickey Loomis. And Mickey Loomis worked for the Seahawks, so I knew him, wrote him a letter, called him, asked if I could get an interview. So they flew me to New Orleans in 2005. This was after doing 1 year of radio with the Seahawks on the pre and post game in 2004. In the off season before the 2005 season, I went out there, thought about becoming a scout. And so what they did is in Metairie, Louisiana, where their facility is, they put me in a room and I spent about 8 hours looking at 4 different players. So about 2 hours each. I wasn't looking at highlight films. I was looking at their game film, every snap. And that was just 2 hours. These guys are putting in hundreds of hours on individual players. So, and funny story, at the end, I wrote up all of my grades and, where I would put them, first round, second round. They had all these different categories, pros, cons, negatives, positives, whatever. They had a guy named Alfred Fincher, who was a linebacker, that they had drafted. And I didn't know that, okay? So I look at him, I say, hey, you know what? I don't think he can play linebacker on the second level. I think he might have some talent coming off the edge, but he's mostly a special team guy. I gave him a free agent grade. So when I took that report to the guy I was interviewing with, he was kind of laughing. I said, what's up? He said, we drafted this guy in the third round. So I'd written this really terrible report on a guy who they had drafted in the third round that year and just didn't know it. And He ended up, lasting in the league maybe 4 years, never started a game, really was a special team guy, just kind of washed out. Now, did that make me a genius? No, because if I'd have looked at Richard Sherman, I probably would have said, don't even bring him in because he was terrible at Stanford. I'm sorry, I complained about him a lot. He's the best corner in NFL history, in my opinion. So that's how difficult it is, and just got a little bit of a tiny taste of that. And when I go through and look at film and look at stuff that you find on the internet with these players, it's not even a drop in the bucket of what these guys are looking at. And again, I don't want to discount the Draft Guru guys. They do a fantastic job. It's a lot of work, but just a little bit of an idea of how difficult it is to find guys. And that's why Russell Wilson gets drafted in the 3rd round. And, Richard Sherman gets drafted in the 5th round. Those guys should be #1 picks in the draft, but that's how difficult it is. So there's a couple of things I really liked about Tyson Campbell from Georgia. One of the things they like, 6'1", 190, long guy. He's fast, but we'll take a look at a couple of plays that I think are really impressive and why he might fit in here in Seattle. All right, let's take a look at Tyson Campbell, and credit to @JustBombs Productions there and @JBP Official, doing a good job compiling some highlights of these guys. There's Tyson Campbell right there, and he's just off in a zone. So what's going to happen is this inside receiver is going to go here. The linebacker is supposed to drop to him, and then they're going to run a little stop route right there that they're trying to get him to bite on. This is a zone, and this is what I like about this. I love the way he played this in zone. It just shows that he has an understanding of how routes develop. All right, here we have the quarterback looking this way. And that's the other thing I thought, with his hips are turned, he's looking at the quarterback and he's watching his head, which way he's going to go. The other thing is he understands that the quarterback always wants to throw the ball downfield. He doesn't want to throw a check down. I used to have an old coach that would say these quarterbacks have big egos. They want to throw the ball downfield. So he's thinking that right there. So he doesn't entirely bite up on him, but he's watching the quarterback, and still, I guarantee you, he's got the peripheral vision of kind of looking out to the side and seeing what that receiver there that's going downfield is doing. All right, and here we go. As soon as he released, there's the ball right there. As soon as the quarterback released the ball, Tyson was about right here, and he just takes off and intersects the ball beautifully. But just if you watch it in motion, it just looks so natural for him, like he knew that was going to happen. He holds off the underneath throw and then breaks on the one that's downfield, which is the right thing to do. And here he gets the interception right here. He's got good hands, and he ends up getting about a 40-yard return. So really good job in zone. Love seeing guys play man-to-man, but also love seeing zone and the understanding of zone, because the Seahawks run a lot of zone. Now let's take a look at him in man coverage. He's up on the line here. I like his position there. He's got, he's down low. He's got his hands up ready to go, and looks like he's ready to get a jam there and just turn and run with the receiver. And by the way, this is the receiver right here from Auburn, is a top 15 receiver that will probably end up getting drafted in this draft. Here you see he's flipped his hips and he's turning and running with the guy. Doesn't quite have his hands on him yet, but the thing that I like is he sort of places his hands. He's what Pete Carroll would call sticky. That's how they describe corners, that they're just all over the receiver and doesn't foul him, doesn't grab him, anything like that. Just very calm and just turns and runs with him. And you can see he's already leading him downfield a little bit. The other thing, and this is, he turns his head, he's got one hand on the guy's shoulder, and again, he's just placing it there. And I saw some reports that they said he's a little grabby, but you can get away with a little bit of that in the NFL. But before he turned, what you could see is he's running with confidence down the field and doesn't feel like he needs to turn around. He doesn't panic. That's one thing that Trey Flowers has kind of struggled with. So really good job by him just turning and getting his head around, because officials won't call a PI on a corner if he's getting his head turned around. And then here he is knocking the ball away with the proper hand. He's got his upfield hand, his left hand on the receiver, and just placing it there, and then reaches up with the right hand. and knocks it down. So the thing about it was he just looked so comfortable doing that. He didn't panic. He didn't look like, oh, this guy's going to beat me. He was just very calm. I really like that about him. Again, he may not be the highest drafted corner coming out of Georgia, but he may fall to the Seahawks at that point. I feel like with his height and weight and speed and the way he plays in both man and zone, that he might be a guy that John Schneider might be interested in, and maybe they won't trade that second round draft choice, number 56, off and pick up Tyson Campbell.